Hello everyone, myself Deepak Gupta, logging on this platform of College Dekho Learn on YouTube, and today we will taking up the topic dividend policy decisions, where there are many hypotheses regarding the fact that whether the dividend policy distribution affects the value of the firm or not. So in this journey, we will be taking up the Walters model. So the overall concept of financial management deals with the objective of wealth maximization. And we presume that the wealth will be maximized or wealth will be measured by the increase in the market price of the share. So if we denote the market price of a share by the symbol P and this zero denotes the current market price, so whatever is your dividend decision, whether you distribute all your retained earnings, whether you distribute a part of your retained earnings, or whether you don't distribute anything, does it have any relationship with the profitability, and does it have any relation with the increase or decrease in the market price of the share? What I'm saying, that every investment will generate sales, and this sales will have a resultant earning before interest and tax, and this EBIT will be used to pay all fixed financial cost and the taxation, and whatever is left by paying the fixed financial costs such as preference dividend or the interest and the inherent tax liability, that will be remaining with the business that belongs to the owners and the business. And as the business belongs to the owners and the control of the whole business lies with the owners itself, so there is a peculiar situation where the owners, that is the shareholders, have to decide that whether they should leave the retained earnings with the company itself, or whether they should take all the earnings with them towards their personal portfolio, or they should have a partition. So whatever of the earnings is left with the business is what you call retained earnings, and whatever is taken by the shareholders is the dividend. But effectively they both generate or they both denote the total earnings which is available with the company, with the management, to decide how much should be distributed as dividend and how much should be kept in the business. So our point of view here is that whether this distribution as such looks unimportant because they both are on the same side, or they looks to be on the same side because company is owned by the shareholders, so it is their personal choice. So normally it looks that they are on the same side, so it will not make any effect on the market price of the share. So ideally this earning divided by the number of equity shares denoting the EPS. So it is normally presumed that higher the EPS, higher is the market price, and that the basic assumption with which the whole of the financial management concept works. But and therefore in the earlier cases, financial management was primarily with only two kind of decisions, that is investment decision and the financing decision. But with the period of time, with the share capital becoming so large and the management of the business falling in the hands of a few and the other minority shareholders, they believe that they have invested in the business not just for the increase in the market price to generate the capital gains, but also to generate a regular income in the form of the dividend. So this decision is now slowly and slowly becoming very important, that how much the shareholders receive as dividend. And sometimes if the dividend is not what they expected, then it may cause a fall in the price of the share. So some people originally were of the opinion that because earnings belonging to the company in the form of retained earnings and the dividend to the shareholders are on the same side, therefore the dividend policy shall not make any impact on the price of the share. And that is how the MMA hypothesis came into place. But some thinkers like the Mr. Walter and the Gordons, they believed that this dividend distribution, that is the DP ratio or the retention ratio, will surely have an impact on the market price, whether it is on the positive side or the negative side, that is to be discussed. So we have to now understand what the Walter model says about the impact of the DP ratio, the impact of the dividend policy on the price of the share. So to understand this, we have to broadly understand that when I use the word E, it will denote the earning per share, which will be equal to the total earnings left after the payment of the fixed financial cost and the taxation, and those total earnings if divided by the number of equity shares. So if I just remove this R from here first, so therefore this E will denote the earning per share, and how much of the earning per share has been distributed as dividend shall denote the dividend per share, that is the dividend distributed upon the number of equity shares, and hence we can say that D upon E denotes the dividend payout ratio, and if we express it in decimals, then 1 minus dp ratio, and if we show in percentage, then 100 minus dp percentage will denote the retention ratio, and this retention ratio will be denoted by the symbol B. Further, there will be a concept of R that will denote the rate of return, the rate of return for the shareholders. That is, if the shareholders have the money, if the shareholders have the money, then they will reinvest it. So sometimes we use the word R with two symbols, R for the business and R for the equity. Just to remove any confusions, we show that instead of the word R, we keep make it here the cost of the equity. Why it has been changed? Because when the shareholders want to invest and they are expecting a certain kind of returns, then that becomes the minimum benchmark that such shareholders will expect if that money is invested somewhere else. और आई कैन से कि जो पैसा शेयर होल्डर्स को लगता है कि हम कमा लेंगे, जो रेट ऑफ रिटर्न उनको लगता है हम कमा लेंगे, तो अगर वो अपने पैसे को खुद ना इन्वेस्ट करें और कंपनी के पास छोड़ दें, then that minimum percentage that they could have earned will become their opportunity cost, and that will act as the minimum threshold for the company to decide any action of dividend distribution. Explaining further that what the shareholders could have earned if they get the dividend from the company, then that becomes the minimum benchmark for the company to decide whether the dividend should be distributed or not, and hence that has been taken as the minimum opportunity cost for the company, denoted by the figure KE, that is the cost of equity. And now we will, if we use the word R, just to differentiate that there is no confusion between the two K's, this R will denote the rate of return for the company. It means, before I again stress on this symbol, just take it in this way, that let's presume that there is a company X Limited, and this company X Limited has earnings to the tune of say rupees 10 crores after paying all inherent taxes and the fixed financial cost of interest and the preference dividend. Now this company has to decide what to do with these earnings. Now if the company wants to keep them, then they will be doing so because they believe that there are investment options for the company. So if the company wants to keep such reserve and surplus or these funds earnings as retained earnings, then they want to reinvest it, and when they want to reinvest it, then there will be certain rate of return to the company. But if the company believes that instead of investing on our own, let's give these earnings to the shareholders, and it is presumed that these shareholders will not keep the money in hand and they are going to reinvest it. And if they are going to reinvest it, then obviously they will be getting certain kind of returns. So this rate of return that could have accrued to the shareholders if all the earnings were distributed will become as a minimum benchmark for the company to decide about the dividend policy, and hence this rate of return for the shareholders has been denoted by the symbol KE. And this rate of return which the company expects if it in itself makes an investment has been denoted by the symbol R. So the whole concept of Walter, that is the Walter model, to decide about the dividend policy decision depends whether the R is more than KE, that is the company sorry, that is the company can earn more than the equity shareholders, or R is less than KE. It means instead of the company, shareholders are in a better position to invest and earn returns. That is, shareholders can earn more returns than the company. Or the third scenario can be that both have similar markets. So whether the money is invested by the company or the shareholder, they will generate the same returns. That is, the R will be equal to KE. So the Walter model takes into account only the extreme scenario that either the DP ratio is 100%, that is all earnings are distributed, that is all earnings are distributed, or the Walters model deals with the situation that DP ratio is 0%, that is no earnings are distributed. So the concept was created with the extremes of 0% DP ratio, that is the retention is 100%, or 100% DP ratio, that is the retention is 0%. But there can always be circumstances to cover the in between DP ratios. How? That is to be discussed. So what the Walter suggested, that if R is more than KE, if R is more than KE, then it clearly indicates that the company is in a better position to invest. And the shareholder believes that because the company belongs to me, so if I invest through the company, then I will generate more returns and those returns will come directly in my pocket. So instead of getting the dividend, they want the company to reinvest. That is, in such cases, the DP ratio must be 0%. That is, in this case, lower dividend payout will increase market price of the share. But if the case is vice versa, that is R is less than KE, it means the shareholder perceives that it has better personal investment options as compared to the company. It means they can generate on their own more what the company could have generated. So they don't want the company to keep any of the dividend and they want all of their money in their pocket. It means the DP ratio must be maximum, that is higher डिविडेंड पे आउट, जितना ज़्यादा डिविडेंड होगा विल इंक्रीज द मार्केट प्राइस. सो इन द फर्स्ट सिनेरियो डीपी रेशो 0 पर मार्केट प्राइस मैक्सिमम हो जाएगा और जैसे जैसे डीपी रेशो बढ़ेगा, जैसे जैसे डीपी रेशो बढ़ेगा मार्केट प्राइस कम होना शुरू हो जाएगा. दैट इज द मार्केट प्राइस will be inversely proportional to the DP ratio. But in this case, because higher DP ratio is good, so at DP ratio 100%, the market price will be maximum, and hence in this case, the market price is directly proportional to the DP ratio. And if that is the third case, where R is equal to KE, it means that whether the money is invested by the shareholder or the company, it does not make an impact. So in this case, DP ratio is irrelevant. That is, the market price remains constant of DP ratio. So in this case, there is no relationship. In this case, there is no relationship between market price and DP ratio. They have no relationship. They have no relationship. So, if we understand that in these circumstances, the dividend payout can either positively or adversely or still may have no effect on the market price of the share. I'm again repeating. So, as per the Walter model, the dividend policy distribution is not just about more and more dividend. In some cases, lower dividend payout is good, that is, R is more than KE, and if the vice versa is there, then higher dividend payout is good. So we can't generalize the dividend payout with the market price. It depends upon the circumstances of the available returns with the equity as well as the shareholder. Now, moving further, to substantiate his claim, Walter provided a formula to calculate the price of the share, where the current price of the share, so this P denotes the market price as discussed earlier, will be equal to dividend divided by the cost of equity plus rate of return divided by the KE multiplied by the difference of EPS over DPS divided by KE. So this formula was given by the Walter to substantiate his claim as and how he provided the theory. So if we see from here, from an example, that this formula shall substantiate the theory which has been discussed above as provided by Mr. Walter. So if I take this example where I claim, for example, that EPS is say rupees 10 and R is 12% per annum and the KE is 10% per annum, and we believe that DP ratio can either be 0%, 50% and 100%. That is, these are the three cases. So in the first case, dividend will be 0. In the second case, the dividend will be rupees 5. And in the third case, the dividend will be rupees 10. So if we calculate P in the case 1 by using the above formula, case 1 where the DP ratio is 0%, so this P will be equal to dividend is 0 upon KE, that is 0.10, plus R upon KE, that is 1.2, sorry, 12% is actually 0.12. तो अगर मैं 12% को लिखूंगा तो that will be 12 upon 100, that will be 0.12. So this 0.12 divided by 0.10 multiplied by E minus D upon 0.10. So if you will see here, it will come out to be rupees 120. So in the first case, the market price will be equal to rupees 120. Now if I move to case 2 where the DP ratio was equal to 50%, it means P shall be equal to 5 upon 0.10 plus 0.12 divided by 0.10 multiplied by E minus D, that is 10 minus 5 upon 0.10. So it will be 5 upon 0.10 plus, अगर आप ये कैलकुलेट करेंगे तो it will be 6 upon 0.10. So it will be 11 upon 0.10 and it will be rupees 110. And if I take the third case where the DP ratio is 100%, so it will be P will be equal to 10 upon 0.10 plus दिस 1.2 मल्टीप्लाइड बाय 0 होके 0.10 हो जाएगा। आप अपने आप सॉल्व कर सकते हैं अब एक बार। दिस विल कम आउट टू बी 100। So you can see that as the DP ratio increased from 0% to 50% to 100%, the price decreased. It was 120, it was 110, and it was 100. And why this happened? Because R was more than KE. R was 12% and the K was 10%. So we said earlier that if the R is more than KE, then market price will be inversely proportional to the DP ratio as is happening, and the market price will be maximum at 0 DP ratio. So if with this data you calculate, so this is happening as DP ratio is increasing, price is decreasing, so there is a inverse relationship between the two. And also with current data, the market price, that is P, will be maximum rupees 120 at the rate 0% DP ratio, and market price will be minimum, that is rupees 100 at the rate 100% DP ratio. So these two, 120 and 100, this at 0% and this as 100%, they denote the maximum price and the minimum price. So the company's price range has been anticipated in accordance with the dividend policy. So whatever is the company's dividend policy in the range between 0% to 100%, in the range from 0% to 100%, the market price will fluctuate only in the range of 120 to 100 or 100 to 120. Now you can always repeat this with, or I can say that if I create an example again on the same lines where E is rupees 10 and the DP ratio is either 0% or 50% or 100%, that is the D is either 0 or 5 or 10. But if now R is 10% and the KE is 12%, now if you use the same formula as discussed earlier, as used earlier, then you will find that now because KE was more, so with the increased dividend, the price will increase. And if I calculate it here, so the here the price will be, this is 0 upon KE. This is 0.10 divided by 0.12, and this is 10 minus 0 upon KE, which is equal to 0.10. So what is happen here, that this price will come out to be 83.33 rupees. So this first price will be 83.33 rupees. Now if I calculate price in the second range, so the dividend now will be 5. So it will be 5 upon 0.10 plus 0.10 divided by 0.12 multiplied by 10 minus 5 upon 0.10. Then you will find that now the price will come out to be 91.67. So in the second case the price is 91.67, and if I calculate in the third case, so it will be 10 upon 0.10 plus 0.10 divided by 0.12, and this will be 10 minus 0.0.10. So the here the price will be rupees 100. So in these circumstances, you can easily see that the DP ratio or the dividend is directly proportional to the price, and as the dividend is increasing, the price is increasing, and this will denote the maximum price and this will denote the minimum price. So in this way, a company's maximum price fluctuation can be anticipated. And if we relate it to our earlier chapters on investment management, so this price fluctuation of your the range of between minimum and maximum, if the range is lower, then it will show a low security or low risk security. And also in this method we can always calculate the value of the security or the intrinsic price or the value of the security. So these all things can be related with our earlier sessions which were taken firstly on the valuation of equity shares, and in the today morning session we can always relate it to the concept of risk and return. So as lower the range between minimum maximum is, lower will be the risk, and that's what makes a security as an attractive investment option. So I believe this concept of Walter's model must have been clear to you by now, and all other queries and problems are welcome. For that, you can always log in to our College Dekho Learn channel, and we can always meet up there to solve your personal